Howdy.
Howdy. This is episode... I think we're on episode 16.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16! Welcome to our Sweet 16 party.
That's great.
We got Bounce House.
Quinceañera.
Nope, that's 15. It's in the name. Off to a great start.
Welcome to our quinceañera.
That was last week. We forgot to celebrate. So yeah, this is our Sweet 16 party.
Yep.
Do you remember turning 16? Do you
Mm,
remember what you did for your Sweet 16?
Dancing Queen, only 16.
17. You're one off both times. 16's the number no one wants. You can drive, but at what cost? You're not the dancing queen, and you can't have a quinceañera, so why bother doing anything?
That's a good point.
You're listening to Catchupcast, the podcast where, believe it or not, we do not discuss condiments.
Do I remember being 16?
Or like your Sweet 16 party if you had one.
Party. I really don't. I mean, yeah. No. What grade would I have been in?
That would have been in the sophomore year, maybe?
In the sophomore year.
Because I turned 16 junior year, and so you would have been the March of that year.
What was I doing sophomore year of high school? Being a loser, pretty much.
But that hasn't really changed.
No, it really hasn't. No. Yeah. No, I don't really remember it at
I'm
all.
trying to think back. I think I had some friends over, but it wasn't like a big party. We ate some pizza, and I think...
Was I there? Might have been.
You might have been. I don't remember.
Yeah.
God, was that...
Shows how good our friendship was.
But now we have a podcast, so
No,
our friendship
no,
is the best possible friendship you could have.
Yeah.
So take that, 16-year-olds.
I
don't...
Yeah, I don't have any spite with 16-year-olds.
Nah,
I wouldn't want to go back there
oh God, no.
anytime.
I'm pretty happy the way I am.
Yeah. Pretty happy with the existential crisis that is temporal existence.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
A deep sigh.
Just gonna repress that. Hang on. I actually have a really good method for repressing things. I don't know if I've told you about it.
Okay.
So you imagine the stuff that's stressing you out as like a ball on your chest.
All right.
And you inhale through your nostrils. And when you exhale, you exhale down and imagine pushing that ball into your stomach. No, you exhale through your nose. You exhale through your nose and you imagine pushing that ball down into your stomach.
Uh-huh.
And repressing it so it's not on your chest anymore. For me, it works.
Don't
about
feel it in
20
your
minutes
chest.
at a time.
Feel it in your.
So you're sick to your stomach,
stomach.
but your chest doesn't hurt. So it's kind of repressed.
Sometimes I think about.
Don't repress things, listeners.
Sometimes I like if I'm having a crisis or like a real stressful time in my life. Sometimes I'll throw myself into an existential crisis to get out of the crisis that I'm in.
But now you're in an existential crisis,
Right, but that's like
which is another crisis.
But that's a different level of crisis.
That's sort of.
like,
I feel like that's an ongoing crisis that just comes with being
exactly. So it's like, oh, I'm stressed about homework tomorrow.
self-aware
Oh my
human.
God, I got this big test. I don't know what to do. You know what? Everybody dies eventually. Nothing happens afterwards.
Permanence
All right, great.
is a
Here
lie.
we go. Awesome. Like nothing matters.
The only permanent thing is death.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that totally makes me not worry about the test at all whatsoever.
Well, yeah, but I'm glad you have a system. I'm really glad you have a system. That's important. My method.
Memento mori. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, no, and ultimately, I'd much rather be stressed about my own meaninglessness in this void that is life, as opposed to, oh crap, I don't have enough words for this paper.
You know where that phrase came from?
Which phrase?
The memento mori.
I don't.
So maybe I'm not a historian at all whatsoever, but I remember hearing something about how in ancient Rome, when an emperor would come into the city, I think it was an emperor or maybe a general, big important
Someone's
dude.
coming to Rome, big deal, Santa or something.
Exactly. And he's riding on the chariot. He's got a whole big parade, and like people are cheering his name. This is
A phone call on the podcast.
Do you want to answer that?
I don't know who it is.
You should answer.
No,
that.
because it's like they called yesterday. It's a. Oh no! Now
You're gonna have to bleep that.
Call from. Wah 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 wah. All right, I think that's over with. So they're cheering his name.
What just happened?
It's like a telemarketer or something.
Telemarketer.
They called yesterday too.
Interesting.
Yeah, they hung up.
I think it'd be funny to talk to them on the podcast and let it roll. Be like, yeah, I am interested in giving money to this Arabian prince. What? Yeah, you want my credit card number, social security number?
Yeah, absolutely. The card on the back. Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing, though.
Okay.
Talking on the phone makes me super anxious.
Yeah, I don't like talking on the phone.
So, good thing we have a podcast that requires it.
It requires us to talk on the phone. Where was I?
You were talking about the emperor, or the Santa Claus is coming to town. Everyone's sharing his name in Rome, and
Right. And he has a slave that's on his chariot with him.
Oh yeah,
as he's coming.
Gotta love slavery. I gotta stop saying these things.
Anyways, and so
he's got a slave in the chariot.
I honestly can't believe you just said that.
I can cut it out. That's the magic of editing. No one will know I said it.
Yeah, but then this podcast is.
Is a lie? Is
anyways, and the slave is whispering into his ear, "Memento mori." Remember that you will die someday, and that you will be buried in the ground, just like every single one of these people that are cheering your name right now. And it's to keep him humble. It's to keep that emperor from using his power to take over the entire democracy and mess with everybody's shit, because he remembers that he will also die someday, and he's not a god. He's not immortal. Memento mori.
Is this why he has the slave to remind him of that? I almost said, is that why he hired the slave? And then I remember that's not how slavery works. But is that the purpose of the slave? Is just to hey, you, my slave, tell me I'm gonna die every once in a while. Just keep me humble. Or is the slave just sitting there? I know what I can do to make this.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Because I feel like
I don't think
that's ballsy for a slave to do.
That's their only job, but it's one of their jobs.
God, what a job
that they don't get paid for. Because they work for the government.
Nope, they're just. I think that was probably a shutdown joke that you were going for.
Yeah.
I think we're on day 26. Fun fact, as of this recording.
26.
Hopefully, when it goes up, will not be closed.
Episode 26.
Episode 26. The government shutdown. Still, no one's been paid. People can't afford health care or their loans. This is a mess.
Well,
this is America.
This is America. Anyway,
good song.
We're getting off topic. What do we want to talk about?
We haven't introduced ourselves in a few episodes, and I've forgotten who we are.
They don't know who we are?
I'm Bob.
No, I'm Dirty Dan.
Welcome to Truckcast with Bob and Dirty Dan.
You don't know what that's from?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
What? It's from that episode of SpongeBob.
I haven't watched SpongeBob.
Ever in your life?
I mean, I've seen episodes here.
The creator of it actually just
died a couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah.
People were really sad about that.
Bummer. Some people think it's a conspiracy, but I don't really think so.
What conspiracy is it? Why do people, what?
There's some people that every time somebody dies, they're like, nope, conspiracy.
Death is just a government construct.
Well, speaking of death, there was something I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, good. But before we recorded this episode, listeners, Isaac said, I know something we could talk about. I said, why don't you tell me? He said, no, I want to save it for when we record. And I thought this was going to be something really fun to talk about. It's just death. Okay.
Death. So we were talking about this at school the other day, at my college before I went on break. And they were talking about what you want to happen to your things when you die.
Like belongings?
Belongings and computers and all of this. We have a lot of material in our life. We're very materialistic people. And who you want to put in responsibility of burning all of your effects and clearing your computer history before you die, or if you die. And they were saying okay, if you have a sibling, me, the person I was talking to was yeah, me and my sisters have this pact of okay, if one of us dies, we burn the others' all belongings and destroy their hard drive and don't ask any questions about it. Now, as we're having this conversation, I was thinking, who would I entrust to do that with? And I was yeah, I think Ethan would be a good person to do that for. And I was gonna text you hey, yo, if I die, can you destroy my hard drive and burn all of my journals? And I was wait, that'd be a really weird text.
Out of the blue?
Out of the blue. I'm sure you would respond with
get out of an exam and
you okay?
Oh no.
You good?
My only concern with that is I'm in Ohio most of the year, and you're in Vermont. So am I gonna have to like buy a plane ticket out to?
No. That's fine. You don't have to do it instantly, but like eventually,
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't decided if I want to burn all my journals when I die or not, but
We're gonna be buried with them, so someday someone uncovers your tomb and they know exactly who you are.
my tomb.
Your tomb. You're a pharaoh. Did you not know?
I've decided to get mummified and put in a tomb.
It'd be pretty cool.
But what do you think about that?
About the concept, or about me myself burning your affects?
Both.
I think it is important to have sort of someone who can cover, destroy all the traces of your time on this plane of existence.
Yeah.
And I'm honored that you've chosen me. I also would trust you, except you're in Vermont. So if
No, but like most of those things are at home.
That's
or
true.
Or like my computer. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't.
at
I don't
school,
feel like,
I think I'd pick my roommates. Like if to destroy my school possessions.
right.
But like here, you're the obvious choice.
Okay, it's good to know.
I trust. Destroy Catchupcast.
Delete all the episodes. Not that they're already on the internet, anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Anyone could have downloaded them. Maybe someone's listening to an illegally downloaded episode right now.
After we're already dead.
We can never escape.
Anyways,
We're tied to this.
Well, have you seen that Black Mirror episode where they create a clone of the
Mhm.
boyfriend and then she tells him to jump off the
But
cliff?
he's like, I wouldn't do that.
I
that-
love that episode.
That's a good episode. Have you
Every-
watched the new one yet?
Every time I text a significant other, I think about that. I think about like, what if they're dead but they created a regeneration of themselves that would text back the way that they
You
would.
can just grow a freckle wherever.
Like, you had a freckle here. Oh, okay. Like, what? Anyways, yeah, back to the concept of
Of death.
the idea of burning everything and destroying all the evidence.
I mean, there's stuff I'd like to leave behind. Like
Yeah, me
my
too.
writing. Like, not my journal necessarily. Maybe I'd keep my journal buried with me. But, like,
I don't know. It's a hard concept.
like
to
my,
think about.
my films and, like, my stories and stuff. I'd like to, that's what I want to leave behind.
Yeah, but I
That's
don't know
the
if I
impact
want my
make on this
parents to do that. Or, like, I don't know if I can necessarily trust my brother. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like,
I'd trust a friend before I trust family with something that
which is,
serious.
I don't want to offend any of my family.
And
by
I don't
saying
think
that.
that's
Not really the point. The point is, like, I don't know, maybe it would just be too difficult for them to do that.
Right.
And, like, I don't know. It's just a different
I'd
sort of
trust
thing.
my friends to be more objective
Right.
with something like that.
For sure.
When a couple years ago, when I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, I was pretty upset, and my roommate said, okay, I think, like, do you want to keep your pictures with her? And I said, I'd rather not. And he said, okay, I don't think you are in the right frame of mind to do this. Do you want me to delete them for you?
Wow.
And so he went through, this was like 2 months into living with him, freshman year of college.
That's pretty cool.
And he went through and he deleted all the pictures of me and her.
Hmm.
Which, like, I think that's a similar, it's not the death of my life, but it's, it's the end of
Sure.
an entity, that relationship.
Fair enough.
So,
Yeah, but I've started to think about how those things never. I don't know. Maybe this isn't. Like, it's just a change in that relationship. Like, you may never talk to that person ever again.
right.
But you still have a mental relationship with them where
Well,
you're.
those pictures still exist on the internet. and
No,
stuff, but
for sure. But
I don't know.
I just think about that with my own life, my own breakups, my own, changes in relationship. And it's like, well, this relationship is continuing, not in the way that it was before, not in, whatever we had, that it's
Right.
fine. And like, I've come to resolve that and be, that's cool. But the idea of like, well, yeah, I can still negotiate with that memory of you. I can still think about, there's still some relationship there, even though I might not talk to you anymore, even though we might have totally settled everything and, all of that. There's still some interaction. There's still a relationship. It's just changed, and that's something I think about. It's not like nobody's dead, and even when they are
Hopefully.
dead, they're not totally dead. You know what I'm saying?
it's like the number line, how the zero is the middle.
Sure. And
It's basically like gone
if you're
from
doing whole
like if we'll
numbers.
take a positive number, suddenly it's the negative integer, right? Like it's still a relationship, but it's a different
right
sort of opposite relationship, anti-relationship, if you will.
anti-relationship. Sure, you could call it that.
I don't know. That's just sort of how I'm picturing it, right? Because I never thought about it as a continuing relationship.
Mhm. Most
So
people
it's gone
don't.
from one
Most people wouldn't use the word
type of integer to
relationship.
another
They
type
mean
of
that in a
integer.
very specific way, right?
But a relationship in basic terms is just the interaction or I'm trying to define it without using the word relationship.
I know, right?
It's it's the bond between two people, and that
Yeah.
bond,
Changes.
even like exes from like high school, there's still a bond. It's just not.
And you can still think about them. You can still have, like, they're still there in some way. Not that they're there physically or
no, but like
whatever.
You have a relationship with that person, you know, in the way that you think about them.
Even if it's only the idea of that person.
Right.
I think that's, like, really important to, like,
that's a good point.
to remind myself of. Is, like, sometimes I think about that and I'm like, okay, what is me having the relationship with that? The idea of that person and then having the relationship with that actual person. Because sometimes they get totally separated and, like, I actually have to look at a picture to be like, oh, right, yeah, they aren't actually like that. Or talk to them in real life or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I was listening to a podcast last night. My brother and me is the name of the podcast. It's basically they just answer.
Where art thou?
No, but I like what you did there. It's these three brothers. It's an advice podcast, but they don't give actual advice. They just like give. But one of the things they were talking about was they called it the boyfriend-shaped hole. So like when a relationship ends and like you miss that person, but you miss the relationship rather than you miss that person specifically as they exist, because you break up with a person for a reason,
right?
But like the relationship had good parts, and so you miss that.
One of the sweetest
so it defines
things,
the boyfriend-shaped hole like it's just the relationship versus the person, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. One of the sweetest things I think you can tell somebody, or like tell somebody, I don't know, is that you miss the person you get to be when you're around them.
Yes.
Isn't that like not that you should be entirely changing yourself when you're.
But I think you adapt.
If you become a better person,
who you are
if you're
with groups and people,
and like that's what you miss about them, or that's what you like about them. I think that's a really good sentiment to have.
If someone told me that, I'd feel my heart would be warm.
But if I die,
my heart's a little less warm.
Are you gonna give it? Would you follow through with it?
I would.
Maybe
I'll shake on it now.
I mean, maybe you can say this and then I'm gonna die, and you can. I wouldn't know, but
I'll do it.
Do you think you would? Yeah, we can shake on it, but I still
Listeners,
don't
we
believe
should.
you.
I realize you can't see that because it's an audio format, but we shook hands.
But like you wouldn't be like, yeah, I know.
If you had asked me to, which you have just now, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm in Ohio, it might take some time.
No, I get it.
But like, I'll break in your house, burn your belongings, and
I'm not saying that I want that to happen. Because I haven't decided if I want to burn my journals or not. But at the very least, you should cut my computer in half.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a preference as to how it's done? Do you want like a bandsaw or like?
This one time, I don't know if I should. I'm sure I can say this. Maybe this one time.
It's always the best conversations that start this way.
My dad works for IT, right? You know, he works with computers and stuff. And this one time, he brought home some hard drives from work, and they were old. They were like the old style. They were from like a desktop, and like they're like not the fancy hard drives.
Not like the portable ones.
No, not. But like from a computer.
Like outside, like hard drive within a computer.
Actual hard drive. But they save them because they have information on them and stuff. But he was like, okay, they have like old financial information on them, but we can't. Like, we don't need them anymore, but we need them gone. Because, like, if you throw it away, somebody can take it
and get the information.
And get your financial information or get, passwords. Like, you want them destroyed, essentially.
Right.
So he's like, gives me a sledgehammer and the hard drives, and he's like, here you go. Like, oh, okay, cool.
I'm sure it was immensely satisfying, right?
Yeah, it was so
breaking
cool.
stuff is, like, just always a good time.
Yeah.
Breaking down sets and stuff for theater where, like, oh, do we need to keep this? No. Okay. And you just hit it.
Yeah, until you put a double bit axe through a lithium battery and it catches on fire and shoots off
a
rocket.
Maybe you shouldn't
face.
tell that story.
But what was I saying?
Death.
Right, talking about the end of your existence. Yeah, so that's one thing I think about. But there's this really cool story.
A lot?
I haven't read this book, but I really want to. It's from Terry Tempest Williams. Have I talked about this on this podcast?
No, but I would love to hear about it.
It's about Terry Tempest Williams, who's a nature writer and sort of environmental philosopher and all this stuff. And she comes from a Mormon family, and I feel like I talked about this on the first podcast.
I don't think so. This isn't ringing any bells.
And her mother was dying of cancer, and she had kept these journals her entire life. And she was like, don't read them yet, but when I die, I'm going to give these journals to you. And Terry Tempest Williams was like, wow, this is like, I really want to know what's in these, but like, I have to wait until she dies, of course, but, I'm going to bestow these upon you. And her mother actually said this to her, like very specifically like, these are going to be yours when I die. And I don't remember if she said don't read them or there was like some catch in there, or like burn them, or like don't or make sure you read them. Which I know are very different.
It's two
things.
different, very opposite.
But anyways, she made a good point either way. And after she died, she looked at them, and there was like 37 of them, or like there was like a good stack of them, and they were all empty.
Huh.
And so Terry Tempest Williams has to think like, okay, what is the reason that she gave these to me? Like, why is this why did this happen? Why did she specifically tell me on her deathbed to bestow these journals upon me? And then that was the end of the blurb on the back of the book, so I didn't really get to know anymore. But and that just had me thinking about like, that's really interesting. Was it an intention of like, is this what happens when you don't write anything down? You have nothing to bestow. You have no story to.
Was it a prank?
Or was it like?
Because that's a real good prank.
Deathbed pranks. Yeah. Or was in Mormon culture, it's common for the matriarch of the family to record family history and stories and like that whole thing. Was it the bucking of that tradition and saying like, I want to release you of this and you can do what you want with it or whatever? I don't know. But it was a really interesting idea to think about.
It's an interesting idea. Why buy all these journals, though?
Why have them? I don't know. Or did she buy them for her to then write
to burn, according to one interpretation of the story that may or may not happen.
I really should remember that.
Yeah, because those are the
pretty crucial part.
Read or burn are very different, sort of opposite sides of the coin of journalage.
Would you read them before you burn mine?
Probably. Like, I want to say I wouldn't, but, like, human nature is curiosity.
Yeah.
Would you read mine?
I might.
It's hard to know without being, but I feel like I might.
I know. I don't know if I can tell you it straight to your face and be like, yeah, no, when you die, I'm going to disrespect all of your last wishes and do it.
I had all these notes. When I broke up with this girl once, I had all these notes that she'd written me, and I kept rereading them.
Yeah.
And it was really, so I decided to burn them.
For sure. No, that's really...
But before I burned each one, I reread it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going anywhere with this, but like, it was it was an interesting moment to like sort of release these feelings and release this
that's
relationship.
A really, so
fire is a really beautiful symbol of like sort of transcendence.
And there's this whole sort of this like spiritual sort of ceremonial connection around the smoke going up, and like that is how we commune with the universe, and where you're changing the material of your.
When you're done, remind me to tell you about the soul releasing ceremony.
You're changing the material of your existence and putting it up into the atmosphere to then go into the water cycle and become part of the next thing. Anyways, and so I was flipping through my journals one day, and this was right after a breakup, and we're talking a lot about breakups today, but I think it's okay.
I don't know talking about breakups.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
And it was right after a breakup, and I started flipping through my journals, not really looking for anything in particular.
Just looking.
And out slipped a note, a letter I was intending to send to her. It was like, this is really bad timing. This is like not what I want to look at right now. It's like, shit. And I reread it. It's like, damn it. Like, this is kind of a bummer. I was like, well, so what do I do with this? Like, it's kind of a weird, like, no man's land of like, well, I don't really want it, but I'm sure they don't want it either. Like,
so what do you do?
What do I do with it? I think I ended up burning it, or I ended up keeping it, and I was like, one day I'll decide what to do with this. I just don't want to think about this right now. But yeah,
Abraham Lincoln wrote a bunch of letters, and he never intended to send them, but there's this whole collection of letters he wrote to people that are just passive aggressive.
Emancipation Proclamation.
That was not one of them, but this is the same Abe Lincoln. Yes.
Gettysburg Address.
Same. I actually know that by heart. I know you know that. But
do you really?
I'm not going to do it right now on the show.
It's like a 4-hour speech.
It's 2 hours. It's 2 minutes. It's a 2-minute speech. It's really short. Like, it's a piece of paper. I had to do it for a play once, and I just haven't memorized.
It's like a 4-hour speech.
It's not a 4-hour speech. The whole point is that it was really short, and like he said a lot in 2 minutes. It's honestly kind of a boring speech. I much prefer yelling about walls.
4 score.
And 7 years ago, if I was
okay, that's.
So
I do declare.
That's not even like a thing anyone's ever said. That was like an inside joke in our friend group in like middle school.
Oh, right.
I think it was Keenan.
Definitely.
He was from Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
Remember? We used to do that like at the lunch table in middle
Why
school.
did that pop into my head right
Sometimes things just pop in.
now? Just pop
I was
on
walking
in.
by the middle school the other day and like looking in the windows of the cafeteria, like at night. So
Creep.
it was at nighttime. But like there's different tables now. There's like vending
I
machines.
know,
It's
right.
it's weird.
Isn't that shame on them for getting rid of them? Anyways, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Those tables sucked.
They did suck for sure.
Because you.
But you could move the stool. You could move the chair.
Right, so you
and
could
fit more people at the table.
But you're
if
only
wanted
supposed to have 8, and like people like
we broke
some of
that
the
rule
lunch
all the
ladies
time,
just got
though.
like real aggressive about that. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't sit there. You're kicking me out.
These are my only friends. I'm gonna sit alone if I can't
Come
sit
on.
here.
Middle school was just weird. Like some of the stuff like that specifically. Like it doesn't make sense. But anyway, I brought this up a couple minutes ago, and I wanted you to finish your point. But we're talking about fire and sort of
Yes,
a release. In my fantasy world, Theldon, I had to write this funeral scene, and so I was like, okay, what is the culture regarding death? And they have a soul releasing ceremony. So the concept is you bring the belongings of you build a pyre,
Okay.
and you bring their belongings.
Ah.
Not necessarily like every belonging, but like
Their computer hard drives.
computer hard drive, like important things like their sword or maybe like a book that was important to them.
The journals that they don't want the world
Exactly,
to
things that like were really important to them in life.
Yes.
So maybe a family heirloom or something. That,
Okay.
Oh, probably not family heirloom. You pass that down.
Anyway.
But you put it all on the pyre and you burn it, right? And that's
I
sort
think
of
a sword would burn.
not necessarily, but like it's symbolic.
Okay.
So sort of the smoke and stuff. This is because in the afterlife, it's sort of envisioned as this. I mean, it's kind of a heaven-esque sort of otherworld above Theldon, where they live among the gods.
Okay.
And so the burning of these possessions sort of releases the ties holding them to this plane of existence. It sort of lets their soul ascend, and then the family makes shrouds, like knits them or whatever. Probably not knits, because shrouds. But they make shrouds, and you burn the shrouds, and that's sort of symbolic of like, here is the garments you may wear. It's
like burying. It's like Egyptian burying things with the dead.
To
But
give them in the
instead of
afterlife.
doing that, you burn them. So it's
right, and it's to release the smoke goes into the heavenly realm is
See.
what the afterlife is called.
Interesting.
And then they're buried like in a graveyard, but that's because I established that as canon in one of the films.
But they're buried in a
The
grave?
bodies are buried, but the
they're-
possessions are burned.
So then why don't they burn the body like a funeral pyre?
Because the bodies aren't seen as part of the spirit. So it's a way to remember the people, but their souls are gone. Does that make sense? Listeners, I'm doing a lot of things with my hands, raising.
It doesn't really help to explain it at all either.
No, but that's as sort of something the same sort of fire as a transcendental sort of not transcendental, but as a transcendence.
Yeah, no,
right?
yeah,
as a sort of threshold between our world and the other. That's just my fire story. I hope you thought it was lit.
Stop. Yeah, no.
I apologize for the pun. No, I don't.
Fires are really really important. As you said in our last episode, your mundane bucket list is to have a fire with friends.
No, it's just to have friends. We established that too. Is I just plural.
I actually started a fire in my house today.
Like in a fireplace, or you just lit a journal on fire? I assume in a fireplace. This is making for great content. You're just silently staring at me.
Yeah, it was in the wood stove.
We have 2 gas fireplaces now, but we don't have an actual. On the one hand, that's nice because it's easy to just click the button and boom, there's heat and fire. There's something really. I really enjoy the scent and the sort of the feel of an actual physical fire.
Yeah, it doesn't make your house very dry though,
and makes the rest of the house cold too.
Well, so that's the thing. We heat the rest of the house with like a regular, propane furnace, or natural gas furnace. But then we heat like the downstairs, the like open sort of kitchen, living room, and dining room with the fireplace and so it's like that area of the house can be like really warm, like almost 70 degrees. It's like
at the beach, basically.
Right. And it's like, wow, we're walking around in a t-shirt, and like that's where everybody wants to be, anyways. We're in the kitchen cooking, we're in the eating dinner, we're in the living room watching a show or whatever.
Right.
Like that's cozy. But then like the back rooms and the bedrooms are all cold, which is fine. I like sleeping in the cold way better. So it's
Plus
like
you can get all cozy under blankets and stuff.
exactly. So Yeah, it works out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't get like super cold because we still have the heating in the rest of the house.
In comparison to some places.
So it makes it a little more
fire.
efficient.
Right. Cool.
You ever tried a weighted blanket?
I've heard they're just amazing.
They're so good.
I haven't. Are they expensive?
I don't know.
Do you have one or do you?
No, somebody at my well, I kind of do. I put like 3 wool blankets on top of each other, and they're like super heavy.
Yeah, it's weighted, but it's not a weighted.
It's not really weighted,
right.
but somebody at my school had one, and I got to try it out, and it was like,
is it just like having like a hug, but like
kind of?
Oh, I kind of want one now.
But like when you roll over, it's like,
yeah, you're trapped.
Yeah.
Might be it wouldn't be that funny, but like a scene where like someone's captured the hero and like covers them in a weighted blanket, like you'll never escape. Oh, so cozy. Oh no. You dastardly villain. Just hug me yourself, coward.
Okay.
I don't.
But I they're really.
I want to try one out before I like put some money down on one. Maybe I'll post like the Denison has like a Facebook group. Maybe I'll post like, hey, does anyone have a weighted blanket I can? That's not weird, right? To just ask my entire graduating class if I can borrow a weighted blanket.
Sure. I don't know.
When you say weighted, what?
It actually weighs like, I think it was 20 pounds was the amount it weighed. But of course, that's spread out.
With it.
I tried to. It really doesn't work. Because it's like floppy. Like you can't hold up the whole thing at the same time, like a regular blanket, you know? So, but like over the whole, like spread out.
How is it weighted?
I think there's like beads. So it's like a baffled blanket. Like, not a woven, like that blanket over there.
But it's like a...
But baffles, and then the inside those baffles is like
beads
of weight, I suppose. Yeah.
And it's heaven. It's
pretty good. It's really relaxing. You know?
Okay, I'm gonna add that to.
But it's really warm too, because like I don't know.
Well, yeah, you've got heat on you, trapped in heat.
Trapped.
But like a good trapped.
Like a good trapped.
Like a safe trapped.
Yeah.
Weighted blanket. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got your notebook. You're looking for something to talk about, or you just?
No, that was really one of the one thing I was like, oh, I want to talk to you.
Want to talk about death?
Yeah, I want to talk about. Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll address something I've been thinking about a lot lately. You do a lot of writing.
Sure.
I do a lot of writing.
Okay.
What do you do when you hit writer's block? Like, how do you get out of that?
I usually throw myself into existential dread and just write about that for a little bit, and that comes back.
Okay. Well, that's good because I feel sort of constant existential dread.
It's always there. You can always just refer
sort of
back
tap into
to
that horrifying
like,
chasm
what is the meaning of life? I don't know. And then you just write that for like life has no meaning. And then just like go on that. Yeah.
This is a really happy episode so far. Death, life is meaningless. Well, we got some huggy blankets in there. So that's, see, it's not
sprinkled
all
in with like happy things, like cozy.
That's the new podcast format. Is we talk about really depressing things, so we sprinkle in a little bit of joy.
Yeah,
just enough so you don't feel super upset.
It's like those chocolate boxes of chocolate, where most of them are filled with like coconut and toothpaste and taste. I was going to say
toothpaste, yeah.
But then a few of them are
have like nougat and like caramel and stuff.
And caramel or like dark chocolate. And it's like, oh yeah,
coconut. I'm sure it's good, but every time the only tastes I've had of coconut have been inside chocolates, and I always felt so betrayed when I've been into it. Because like you're excited.
Coconut betrayed.
But it's just a weird texture and like it's stringy and I don't know. It's just always made me sad. So I associate it with sadness now.
So the other tactic I use when I'm writing and I don't really know what to write about is I write about the weather. And so sometimes I'll hold off on the weather. Like, even if the weather's doing something kind of cool, I'll be like, okay, great, this is cool, but, like, because it's also part of my, like, naturalistic sort of observation thing. Like, where am I? What's the weather right now? What's the watershed that I'm in? What's the, ecosystem?
Yeah.
And how is this tree? Like, that sort of format, which I've sort of learned on when I was in California and sort of examining different ecosystems. But I think it's really important to practice where you are also.
Right, sort of mindfulness, sort of being in the present.
Yeah, so weather's somewhat of a big part of that, and sometimes I forget to write about the weather, but I think it's really kind of cool to like look back and see, oh, like this time last year
I've
it
never
was
thought about that.
-5, but I'll write about that when I can't really think of anything else to write
Mhm.
about, and try to make the transition at least a little bit seamless. But sometimes it's like, I'm just gonna have to like, the weather today, and usually by the time I'm done describing the weather,
You've opened the floodgates.
I've moved on to something else.
I've probably talked with on the podcast before, but I've been writing this book for a few years now. Like, when did I start? 2012. So this is year 7
Yeah.
of writing this book, and it's like the story's done. I finished the first draft 3 years ago now, and I finished the second draft a couple months later. So, sort of the joy of writing a story, that's not sort of it anymore. I'm adding a couple scenes, but they're not like huge story moments. They're just like, a scene where they're eating dinner to sort of build the relationships from characters, or adding a paragraph where they see some boats, so I don't have to describe the boats later or when it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hard to get sort of motivated to like, oh yeah, I'm going to write this same thing I've been working on for 7 years now.
Yeah.
And it's because I want to be done. I'm really excited to sort of share this story with the world. I'm going to try to get it published is the goal.
Yeah.
Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But it's just sort of hard to sort of sit down and be like, yes, writing this now.
I think that's why I like to do short things.
Right, because you do more short stuff in poetry, right?
Or things that I can glance over the entire thing in one look. Like a poem, I can just like, look it up and be like, okay, here, like, read it through entirely in one shot, and then be like, I don't like that word, this thing, and change. Where, also my journaling, I don't really, like, that's one thing I really do want to do, is go back and find stories in my journal and actually polish them, and, like, get them to a more, like, publishable state. Maybe not publishable is the right word, but like, polish them, Presentable, sure, and tell some of the, like I was talking about the last episode, tell some of those stories, and, like, listening to a lot of storytelling podcasts for a while, and like, wow, I think I actually have some stories I want to tell eventually, and like, I've written a lot of those down, so why not, like, I have the source material, let's go back and look at them. But I think a lot of that is like keeping that original feel, that intimate journal style of like, this is how I felt in the moment, and this is how I want to tell that story. So there's not a whole lot of editing. It might be like, lifting up some adjectives and like doing some little things like that.
The vibe has to stay the same, so you can't.
Because that's the vibe I'm trying to go for.
Right.
I'm not trying to like turn it into something different and like tell the story a completely different way, because the story's already happened. It's already down, So I think that's where that is. But yeah, reading over a poem and doing that is kind of,
When you sit down to write a poem, because this is what I'm thinking. Like,
I usually don't.
Okay.
I'm usually not sitting down when I'm writing. I'm usually in the most inconvenient place possible.
You know what I mean.
When I'm driving and I'm like, oh, that's a good poem right there. Oh, gosh.
Pull over on the highway. And
then I have my
Officer, I'm writing a poem.
No, write it down.
Oh, my bad, sir.
Or I think I said this in another podcast, but I was like, literally, like, about to like sit down to watch a movie with a friend, or like halfway through a movie with a friend, like all like nestled and like set, like the laptop is literally on my lap, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I just got like, it's really annoying because my notebook was like in my backpack.
So you had to get up.
Get up, like get the backpack, and it's like 10 o'clock.
When inspiration strikes, though, you gotta.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna forget this if I watch this movie, and I have to write this down. I'm sorry, but it's just gonna happen. And they were totally understanding about it, but it was like, it never happens at a convenient time. So I'm never like sitting down like, well, today I'm going to write a poem right now. It's like, it just doesn't happen.
So do you ever go about writing a poem, and like, is it sort of you just write what you're thinking? Do you ever like, do you sit down? Not sit down. It's sort of hard to find the right words for this. Do you look at a piece of paper and say, I'm going to write a poem about this? Or is it sort of, it comes to you and you just write and the poem becomes something? Because what I'm stuck with right now is I'm writing a scene that's going to be this scene. I know what the scene is about, but I have to write it. So versus it's just organically happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. I wrote on my to-do list while I'm home for break is write poems, which is kind of ironic because it's like you can't quite do that.
Right.
You can't quite put like, it's not something I can just do
today.
Like, oh, okay, I'll do the laundry and like write a poem. But it gets my mind to at least be like, oh, okay, I should be on the lookout for something. I should be thinking in that sort of way. So what'll happen is I'm in that sort of mindset. I'm like, I feel rather poetic today, or like
I'm picturing you with like a long wig and like a fancy beret on when you're saying that.
A long wig and a fancy
I don't know,
beret.
just like like the old style like artists,
which
artistes.
which I find comes from like other confidence elsewhere in my life.
Mhm.
Right? If I'm just sitting on the couch eating potato chips, I don't really feel like doing anything else. But if I feel confident because the clothes I wear, like I went for a run today, or like if I have like if I'm fluid in the rest of my life,
Right.
I can feel a little more. My mind is working elsewhere to write a poem, also, And what'll happen is I'll like think a thought or like think a sentence or like this might be really like selfish to say, or like not selfish, but like braggadocious to say.
I think it's okay to be braggadocious.
But I'll be like, wow, I really like the way that I said that.
That's
kind of good.
Braggadocious at all.
No, but it's like, wow.
I sit down and I watch stuff that I shot, and sometimes it's like, holy
I had a
crap,
good idea
that's
today.
really good.
Or like, wow, that was really a good way to say that. Let me write that down, and then usually in the process of that, it'll continue on, or like I'll come up with more good things to say. I don't know. It's just hard to.
I think that's valid. I
don't think that really helps to be like, wow, I like the way I put together those words. Let me put more of them on that. Like, that doesn't really.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, when you have those moments where you're like, that's good. Like, it's sort of confidence boosting. Like, oh yeah, I am good at this.
Right.
Like, I made this film, and I'll show you the beginning of it sometime because it's just this sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sequence of someone getting fencing clothes on.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in front of this starry background with like.
You talked about this in the lab.
I did. But, like, I watched and, like, oh, my God, I'm actually a good filmmaker. Like, that's really well done.
Oh, my God, I did something
know
right
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
it's good to know that you know what you're doing.
And that doesn't mean the next time I go to sit down, well, I don't sit down and make a film, but next time I, like, go to make a film, I'm going to be, instantly good at it again. It's hard, and it's hard work. Is the lighting right? Am I using the right lens? Is the framing what I want?
Yeah.
It's still a process. Writing is still a process, but you can do it when you have moments like that. And I think revisiting those and remembering, oh yeah, that's right, I am talented when I do this.
I think it's really hard to look at other people's work too and be like, oh, I can never be as good as that. And like, sometimes I read poetry for inspiration, and other times it's like, I read poetry and I'm like, nah, can't ever be that. Like that's just not me. But then I have to remind myself like, nah, it's like get that like tutti frutti out of your head and just like do it. Like it's not that hard. Just be
the nice
you.
thing about art is it's so subjective and like.
Yeah, you can make bad things that are actually good things.
Yes, but that's not what I was going for. Like you can make art what you want to make it, and you can twist it into whatever it needs to be you and to be what you want.
Yeah, and
it does take work, but you can do it.
Sometimes there is a difference though between like. So I'm trying to eventually make this anthology or this chapbook or this sort of collection of my poems.
Yeah, you mentioned this.
And
maybe not on the podcast, but yeah.
Also, do you know how to format? Separate question.
In general, do I know how to format? Because but that's like the vaguest question you could possibly ask. There's 1,000 different ways to
print
format.
Something out like double-sided, but in a way that you can fold it and then it not be upside down on the other side.
You could probably Google it.
Yeah, I tried.
I'm sure there's a way.
I think I need a fancy printer. Anyways.
Maybe at school there's a printer like that?
Yeah, I tried. And
or
then...
you go to like Kinko's or something? I don't know if they do that sort of thing.
Go
but like Kinko's is the place people go when they need to print,
And what was the point of that? Oh, and I'm putting them together, right? And I'm like deciding which ones I want to put into this anthology. And sometimes I'm like, wow, is that poem good to me because I know what it's about and I feel that way and I have that thing about it? Or is it good to other people for whatever reason? Can they relate to it, or am I the only one that can like see the inside of it? You know what I'm saying?
There's an easy way to figure that out.
I know, share it.
Yeah.
But
that's scary.
This is definitely scary. And sometimes it's like, really shoot, I gotta change that name before I share that poem.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember this. I made a film last year about anxiety taking the form of an ex-girlfriend.
Oh, right.
And I used her name.
Yeah, why'd you do that?
Well, it was a school project and I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
It was dumb. But
this one time I was printing out my poems just for myself, and I didn't change the names because I was just gonna
take my. And that's sort of how I viewed the film.
But then you shared it to everybody.
I'm not perfect.
And
like I said,
the printer I sent it to.
Oh no!
It didn't go to that printer.
Oh no.
I was like, oh
no.
I could have sent it to any printer on the campus right now. Luckily, there's only like 5 printers I could have sent it to. It's not like a big university where there's like hundreds of printers, but it's like, shoot. All right, well, I guess I'm going to put my coat on and go for a little scavenger hunt. Like,
did you find it?
Well, no, I ended up doing the like print to Word document, like one of the other options for a printer instead of like print to PDF or print to like, change file format, something like that. And I was like, whew, okay, great, cool. I didn't just like accidentally,
send it to that person's personal printer.
No. Nobody has a personal.
I had a printer in my room my freshman year.
I guess my
roommate had a printer.
There's people
which
that have
awesome because I could
printers.
just, if I needed to print, just walk over, plug my laptop in, and
I criticize them for their choice because I don't really see the point.
Well, I don't. At this point, I have to walk 2 minutes to get to the printer.
It's free to print.
Well,
yeah,
it's not free to print it, Denison.
It's like,
but we get unallotted. Like
we get exactly, and then I end up printing my poetry anthology, and it's like,
well, I mean,
shoot.
I printed maybe 4 things for my actual class.
I know, right? Because most everything
I'll go and I'll print stuff. I can print 100 some pages. School's paying for it basically.
Right. Yeah. So and you just share everything else, so it's like totally fine. But, yeah. I don't see why they have a printer. I don't know. It's just weird. Because the school can pay. Like,
well, my roommate thought it was a good idea. It was nice.
It's kind of convenient, I guess.
We also didn't have to leave the building to go to the printer in the building anyway, so it was kind of redundant is the word I tried to say, and redonkulous came out.
Redundant.
So
it's redundant.
So that's where my mind's at, I guess. But yeah.
It's unnecessarily redundant.
Yeah, redonkulous.
Which is
unnecessary. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess the lesson, or not the lesson, but sort of the moral of the story is just write.
Just do it.
Just do it.
The more you do it, it begets more writing.
Right. I found when I finished the first draft of the book 3 years ago, I wrote like 100 pages that summer. Because I did it so much, it just sort of flowed way easier.
Yeah.
It wasn't all great. You have to go back and edit.
No, for sure. I think it's important to realize that writing trash is important.
Yeah.
Most of the things I write is trash.
Most of the things I submit for grades are trash.
But then I can sift through that
and find the good stuff.
Find the good stuff.
Right.
It's not like, because if you just think you're going to sit down and write good stuff, you're not going to do that.
No one does. Stephen King doesn't.
You need to write the trash also to get to the good, So, and that's true with poems too. There's so many poems that's like, I just need to get this out.
Well, I think part of poetry is the trash, right? Is you write sort of the surface level.
Why, thanks.
But you know what I mean? Like you write the basic surface level bad stuff, so then you find the kernel of what's there and you turn that into a good poem.
Yes.
Or you turn in your first drafts like I did because I didn't want to edit them in my class. But
yeah.
I do so much more editing for my own stuff than I do for
than for essays I hand in.
Like this book, this is year 7, and I've been editing this draft for 3 years now.
Yeah.
I haven't edited an essay that I've turned in ever.
I know. I really got to do that better.
But one of the things I realized this semester is if I can sort of average a B plus,
B's get degrees.
It's so much easier. I don't have to impress anyone. Like this is B's. I mean, think about it. B is a good grade. You're still performing like 80%, 90% of what it should be. 80% of like life. That's if I can master 80% of a skill, I'm golden. I haven't mastered 80% of any skill, except maybe rambling on podcasts. But that one movie about what you're talking about. I don't.
Yeah, it's that one movie. I don't think it's on Netflix, or Hulu.
I just got Hulu, actually.
You can definitely find it on the internet, though. It's
illegally? Are you?
No, it's.
Are you telling our listeners they should do illegal things?
Well, it's about what were we talking about?
Being 80% good at something.
Yeah, but like what's that grade again?
B.
Oh right, the B movie. That's the movie I'm thinking about with Jerry Seinfeld.
It is on Netflix. I usually sort of try to edit out the long silences. I'm gonna leave that one because that's how disappointed I am.
Well, it's good. I didn't know it was on Netflix.
Yeah, so now you can watch it and bring it up every episode. Apparently. At this point, we should probably call DreamWorks and ask them to sponsor us, just because we talk about that movie so much.
Yeah, but they're not making any money off that movie anymore.
There's still people who haven't seen it.
They sold the rights to Netflix.
We could be promoting
it.
You know, we could be the official podcast of the peak.
No, it's not. It's not what I want to be the peak of my life.
It would be a good peak, though. No, it wouldn't.
Do you think you peaked? When do you think you peaked?
I don't think I hope I haven't peaked. It wasn't in high school. If anything, I peaked at camp this summer.
Who do you think peaked? No, I can't go there.
I certainly can think of people who did.
I certainly can think of people who did. I'm not going to name
No,
them.
we're not going to be mean on the recording.
Yeah. But we can secretly know that we know who we're talking about.
Yeah, off air, we're going to shit talk everyone.
Yeah.
Which we do anyway. That doesn't make us bad people. Everyone shit talks people. Most people just don't have a podcast where they explicitly don't shit talk. Well, we've shit talked people before.
Who?
I don't know. We've talked about like middle school and like shit talk lovingly some people.
We didn't drop any names.
I dropped a name.
You did?
Yeah. I'm not going to drop it now. Those episodes and episodes ago. Whoever, if they're looking, they're going to have to dig through.
I got to go back and find
14
that.
previous
you reminded them
episodes.
so they can go find it.
Yeah, listen to 14 of our episodes, please. I dare you.
Please, get us more views.
Please.
We're that desperate.
Although, the last couple episodes have been getting like upwards of 30 views.
I know. I don't think we've broken 30 yet. But we're
one
getting
of
close.
them did. One of them got like 29 maybe. So
That's
we're
pretty
getting
great. That's still not breaking 30, but I think we can do it.
If I can get us on Spotify or iTunes, if I can find a way to do that, which if you're listening to that,
I don't think
us there now, we did. But like that gets us an audience that maybe people just stumble on us and be like, "Oh, what's this interesting looking podcast with these well-spoken gentlemen?"
You just subscribe to us on YouTube,
Which you should. We have like 8 subscribers, and I think I know them individually. And one of them is Isaac, and one of them is me.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't. There's at least a couple I don't know who they are.
They're probably my friends.
Yeah, I know. I counted a couple of your friends in there.
And plus, you're subscribed. I'm subscribed.
Yeah.
So.
And make sure you hit that little bell notification.
Yeah,
thing.
honestly, because then you'll know that I don't have to like. I post on like my Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat whenever I upload an episode. I don't think anyone listens to them from there, except maybe like the people who already listen. But I try to make a habit of like just
making it
out
convenient for people to find it.
Like someone liked the tweet once, like a friend who hadn't listened before. So
that's cool. There's no any more commentary we want to go over. No. I told you to copy me in those emails. I haven't gotten any.
We haven't gotten any more comments. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, please tell us. Give us feedback.
Give me a bean name. Name my bean.
The bean that is long dead by this point. It was long dead a month ago. But yeah, I mean, we'd love to hear from you guys. We understand you're busy bees.
Yeah, but we're busy enough to make a podcast.
That's true. If we can make a podcast, you can drop us.
You can at least comment.
You can tell your friends about us. Tweet a little tweet out, be like, "Hey, listen to this
I don't
podcast."
have Twitter.
Yeah, but like some of the listeners do, I'm sure. If you do, just I think you'd be happier if you shared this podcast with friends. I think you'd have something to talk about with people.
Make sure you hit us up on our Patreon too.
Yeah, Patreon.com/ we don't have one yet. But if you just want to like send us money, like if you see one of us in real life, just give me a $5 bill. I'm pretty happy if
you can take it too.
Yeah,
we already made this joke.
Yeah, we're revisiting.
We're recycling.
Yeah, it's important to recycle. Planet is dying. That's why we need bees.
Yeah, I think
Jerry
about that
Seinfeld.
sometimes, and it really just it's really sad.
It is really sad. I sort of have to repress that, or else I'm gonna like go into deep existential dread. But maybe that's what I need to write.
Well, it goes under the you can't do anything until you do everything type of logical fallacy, where it's like, well, we haven't solved the problem yet, so what's like...
It is solvable, though. That's the thing.
If everybody tried
global warming,
real
climate
hard,
change,
if everybody thought about it...
reversible. Just the people who are in power to do something don't do
If everybody thought about it in their brain enough, but didn't actually do anything about it, we'd be somewhere.
We'd be where we are now.
I know.
We need people who have the power to do things to actually do it, instead of bowing to big corporations.
You know what I was thinking about earlier today? Straws.
Is this our last point of the episode? Because we're at 50 minutes.
Plastic straws.
What's your take on them? Real bad?
They're so bad.
They're
They're
so
a
bad.
one-use plastic product that literally goes in my mouth so that I can drink out of a.
I got a straw for Christmas, a metal straw.
That's great.
The high school science club was selling like wooden utensils, which I don't
See?
think
No.
is the best idea.
Well, that's
I'm more of a fan.
so
I like
you don't
metal
use.
utensils better.
Well,
I'm worried I'm gonna break the wooden ones, but and also
Okay,
metal
fair
straws
enough.
and like a little cleaner thing.
yeah. So when you go to a restaurant, you ask for that straw because it's a one-use plastic product that literally goes into my mouth, so I can
And then goes in the trash.
not really
then ends
drink
up in
this
a
liquid
landfill
any
somewhere.
easier than I could otherwise.
Just use your, drink.
I
from
know.
your own
I hate
person.
trying to like put a straw in my mouth and then
Like for
I
like
can't
with a
find-
milkshake, it's convenient to have a straw, or like a smoothie or something.
Fair
but you
enough.
can use reusable straw.
yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna if I go to a restaurant to get a cup of water, I'm not gonna why use a straw when you
Also,
can just
sucking on a milkshake is like really hard to do. Just do it with a spoon. You know what I'm
But then you're just eating ice cream.
saying? Yeah, I'm not abashed about my ice cream eating deal. Like, yeah, this is what it's for.
So listeners, go out there and get some reusable straw. There was this coffee shop in the Adirondacks in Inlet, New York, that like sold Adirondack straws,
Adirondack straws.
which was pretty cool. I want to go back to the Adirondacks. I miss them.
Back to the Dax.
Back to the DAG.
Throwback sweet quinceanera.
It's 50.
Do you remember your quinceanera? Let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, please tell us about your quinceañera or your sweet 16 or being the dancing queen, whatever you want to tell us.
Hit us up in those comments down below.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, and see you next week. Stay fresh, kids.
Stay fresh, kids. Yep.